Hello everyone, warmest welcome back, and thanks so much for holding out for this long, and I do appreciate your time and patience. What I just want to say before we get started with the reading for today, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's been going on over the last few months and the fact that things have been been thrown a bit of a curveball, to say the least. But overall, it's required a move, it's required a look into new employment. It's required a lot of changes that are basically curtailed any kind of activity I could have on this YouTube channel. And I do, once again, thank you so much for your time and patience for being able to join again. Now, that said, I do want to stay and remain consistent on this channel, make sure that there's enough content coming out, and thereby also giving you the readings that you need to guide your life, however may be able to do that. We're going to go ahead and just get it straight into it today. I will be reading for Taurus for this particular reading, and I will also include in the notes some updated information, details about how you can receive a personal reading. If you would like to, please do so in that description box below. I'll also share the personal statement, so that way I don't take up too much time with the reading now. I just kind of want to get straight into this, and that way we can get back on track. Many thanks for joining again. We will be reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Once again, we'll be reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. So this will be for the month of April. Again, if you like a personal reading, please look in the description box below, and please avoid any scammers. You know exactly how they operate. This is pretty much common knowledge to the tarot community and basically anyone that's on YouTube. So always be on the lookout for any dodgy usernames or people posing as different creators. And that's pretty much it. Let's get into it. What's taking place for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant? I'm going to need to shuffle those cards a little bit better than that. There we go. Great. Sun, Moon, Rising. What's happening for Taurus? Sun, Moon, Rising. What is taking place for Taurus for the month of April? Sun, Moon, Rising. Give it a couple more shuffles. As you can see, I'm a little bit rusty here. And one more for good luck. Okay, so let's just dive straight into this. Using Celtic Cross, current energies. Okay. What is the current challenge? What's happened in the recent past? What is taking place in the near future? What is at the core of this? And what is that? That's already known. What's already known about the situation? That came out sideways. We're going to explain that a little bit more detail later on. And last but not least, I'm going to do just a short Celtic Cross. So we're going to look at the general outcome for the rest of April. Clarify. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Bottom of the deck, we have Strength reversed. This indicates someone who is basically exhausted. They've been stretched beyond their particular capacity to do a specific task. That specific task, if I look at the cards, would be linked to boredom. Boredom in life, boredom in the way things are going. And even more so, it just seems like almost like feelings of rejection and alienation, which the person in this particular reading is, experiencing in their life. Right in the heart of the spread, we have, the Ace of Wands as the energy currently taking place there. And that is challenged by the Ten of Cups. So basically we have a false start, a lack of passion, a lack of a fresh start in life. And essentially that is blocking the happiness of this particular quadrant in this reading. So if this resonates with you, let me know. It seems like it's been a bit of a slog for you to get through the daily routine. It seems like everything just feels so mundane, boring, not necessarily to your liking. And a lot of this takes place because there's just a lack of movement and any kind of forward progress. We have here the Knight of Swords in reversed as the recent energy in the past. And with that, we always look at a particular point in our life. I know that a lot of people have been experiencing this, but specifically for the earth signs, especially Taurus and Virgo, which I am a Taurus sun and a Virgo moon, which it's been impacting me even more. So you can definitely say it feels like life has been chucked straight into the quicksand, and I'm just kind of watching it slowly sink. And the more you struggle with it, the more you just kind of sink even further. So the whole key in this is to not struggle and fight so much, but to wait for that helping hand to deliver you out of the mess and the quagmire that has been placed in your life. So that said, we'll look at we're going to go back to this a little bit. The Ace of Wands and crossed by the Ten of Pentacles. Now, if there is something that you have been trying to start in your life and it seems like it has been a false start for the past few periods, this reading is definitely for you. And in essence, it almost feels more difficult for you to really define what your sense of happiness is. With this particular reading, it's almost like it's burdensome to try to achieve the things that you want in your life that would actually give you that sense of contentment and fulfillment. And for many people, and many Tauruses especially, experiencing this particular energy, we are in Uranus and Taurus throughout this period, which is forcing us to reshape and revitalize everything that has been giving us stability from the recent until now. And all of that is being basically destroyed and eroded, so that way we can build a firmer foundation. So without actually saying it, the tarot card's actually showing us that this is a bit of a tower moment. And the Ace of Wands kind of looks like the tower in this particular thing, but on a very much smaller, mundane scale. Whether or not that actually resonates within your particular, your particular life path, that's really for you to decide and actually for you to indicate. But it almost makes it feel like the passion's been taken out of your life. These are two cards that are actually supposed to lead from the beginning to the end. The Ace of Wands is a beginning, fire element. The end, you can say either Pentacles or Cups, but you go from fire to water here, from a 1 to a 10. So this is a cycle of completion that just doesn't seem like it's actually getting itself off the ground. And for the average person here experiencing this energy, it feels like there is no beginning or end to this particular struggle. It's like, where do we start? How do we get the passion to go into our lives if it's difficult to find out what makes us happy? And conversely, how do we find our happiness if we can't even get the project off the ground? So this is a quagmire here, again, that is also flanked by two sword cards. You have a Knight and a King of Swords. Knight of Swords in the reverse, but you're moving into the King of Swords in the near future. And that's actually a pretty good sign there, because it allows you to look further and deeper into the issues surrounding your life and actually think a bit more strategically, which will then in turn, allow you to address and then attack each of the different problems in your life that are holding you back. So rather than moving with the passion and the emotion, we're now seeing that the reading is showing us to move more into the intellect, which will actually find the solutions needed for us to overcome these difficulties within our life. Because right now, at the very core of what your life is experiencing, you feel like it's really difficult for you to find a way to balance out all the energies that are taking place in your life. So whether or not you have moved, whether or not you have felt a sense of injustice with a lot of the things that you've experienced, for you, it's important to know where to begin in order to right the wrongs. You have the justice. There are 3 cards here indicating a sword. And that sword is the clarity, that's the epiphany, and that is also the clear communication. So maybe you could be waiting on a contract, you could be waiting on word from someone that is supposed to communicate with you, which will then in turn allow you to experience that rebalancing of your life. Because what I see at the top, what you know already, is that you're not really sure how happy you really feel. I would so like to put this sun in the upright. But at the current moment, as it stands, it seems like with this sun, you have the innocence here. And it seems like here, like this child represents the innocence. And this red cloth represents the victory, with the sunflowers in the back turned toward the sun, which is actually following that path towards that which sustains us and that which brings us life. Now, the problem with that is, if this is laid on its side, it's almost like you've been knocked off your horse by a lot of the life path issues that you've faced over a certain period of time, whether or not that was recent or if that's taken place over a few years. But this is a major epiphany and realization. The sun is also a card of illumination, and that then in turn allows us to know exactly where to move or what to know. So maybe you've been struggling with trying to find out exactly what needs to be illuminated in order for you to move forward, as we see in the Knight of Swords reversed. Now, in the period coming up, you will actually move into that energy, and then you will start to rectify the situation. Now, how is this King of Swords going to proceed with tackling this particular slump in their lives? How is the King of Swords going to proceed? And just like that, this card has been following me around quite a bit. That's a good sign. The Ten of Pentacles. So now you see the King of Swords is actually looking at this particular matter, and they're actually saying to themselves, I'm sitting on my throne. I'm above the clouds, just like the Queen of Swords, the masters of the intellect, and they're able to see above the dross that is fallen upon their life. And what this is going to allow them to do, this is going to allow them to see the clarity needed to get back into that stability that they have been seeking. So whether or not that is building a family life or building a business or building wealth and a kind of legacy that you can leave for the generations to come, as this old man has done for the rest of his family and his 2 little puppy dogs. This is the clarity that you're seeking. And for you, this is critical for you to find a strategy that will allow you to reach that Ten of Pentacles. So what are some of the paths that you can take in order to reach that Ten of Pentacles? Okay. So what I'm seeing here, you have the Page of Swords, but in the reverse. And then you have the Six of Cups in the reverse that you don't see coming. Perhaps there was a situation in your life that was very, very negative. Either A, since this is related to the Ten of Pentacles, maybe you were laid off from a job, maybe you were divorced, perhaps you had to move everything that you needed into a different city or state or county, whatnot. Perhaps the stability overall within your life crumbled, and you are kind of thinking, or you're having to reflect on that negativity that has taken place in the past. With this Page of Swords, I don't see it necessarily as someone who was careless with their thinking. Perhaps you could look in the past and see how you were careless with your thinking. Did you trust someone too much? Did you actually make a few mistakes that you're now atoning for? Or did you particularly, have someone deceive you or lie to you about a particular situation or matter in your life that then in turn turned your life upside down? If that is the case, then it is important for you to understand that. So that Page of Swords is actually asking you to go inward and to try to find out where things began, because the Page is a card of communication, but it's an initial, immature kind of communication, or communication of learning. So it's asking you to learn internally what it is that you really want. Take that. I would even say write it down, because pages do talk about writing and using that writing to learn the same way a student would actually write a report. And once you can actually sit with yourself and look at a sheet of paper, fill it with the thoughts about what happened in the past, and then particularly take that and then use that to plan your strategy moving forward, as the King of Swords would do. The pages actually communicate to the kings and queens. They even communicate to the entire court. So they're extremely important in getting things off the ground and understanding intelligence. So in the days before the internet, the courts would actually rely on the page to communicate messages across the lands to other countries, to other kingdoms. And in a specific way, I think that's precisely what you're doing right now. You may have to go inward and kind of discover within your own territory of your own mind, your heart, your spirit, if you want to say it, and look inward to try to discover what it is that you need to communicate to yourself. And that will actually flesh out and then extrapolate a lot of these strategies that you can use moving forward in your life to reclaim the happiness and set that horse from the sun on its side upright, and then move forward with yourself. So, to make a long story short, what we have here as the outcome, we have the Eight of Wands reversed, we have the Queen of Pentacles, and we have the Four of Swords. And what this entails to me is this is a person who needs to, for the rest of April at least, it feels like you've done everything that you can do, and now it's just time to nurture yourself and take a break. Perhaps one of the things that I think about internally with the Justice as your core energy is that perhaps you were overexerting yourself. We did see that Strength in reverse come out for the beginning of the reading. So I'm getting the energy of overexertion, and the fact that particularly you have to take a break and replenish yourself before you move forward. And maybe the universe is having you sit in this energy of not necessarily an ennui or like a kind of purgatory, as I would call it, but the universe is making you sit with this particular energy and then force you to understand where things went wrong, indicated by the Six of Cups reversed. And with that, you can actually replenish your energy, because when things start to move, I feel like this Eight of Wands is going to go back upright and things are going to take off. What will happen after this person takes a break and then decides to move forward? So we have here, we have the Four of Pentacles and also the Knight of Pentacles. So here with the Four of Pentacles, we always have a person here who is either saving money or holding on dearly to something. Sometimes it can indicate a miser when it comes to finances. But I don't really get that in this particular part of the reading. What I see here is a person who is holding on to everything they have, being resourceful, especially if this is a finance or a job-related or career-related reading, and they're actually taking what they have to move slowly towards their goals. So maybe you are taking your money and you're actually using that to be resourceful to find the job that you need to look for. Or perhaps you're saving your money for a particular house, or you're saving it for something that you really want to buy that eventually is going to bring you that satisfaction that you're looking for. Now, if you're particularly stuck in a rut of a situation, the King of Swords would also indicate that you need to be more strategic and try to see exactly what you have not done in the past that would allow you to do things differently in the future. So for example, like if I take my case, if I'm applying for jobs, rather than trying to apply for the dream job all the time, you can apply for dream jobs, but you can also apply for jobs that will help you to get by. Or perhaps you can even start, like a side project that would allow you to make a little bit of money to keep you going. So YouTube channels, Patreons, if you, I don't know, even if you got to start that OnlyFans, go ahead and do it and pay the bills. But then understand, it's a temporary, it's a Band-Aid for your life. And it can also open up some other things depending on, what kind of OnlyFans you've got going. That said, I'm not going to judge anyone right now. I'm just going to put those ideas out there to say, at least do your best to use all the resources available to you. I'm getting magician vibes here. And I feel like, when you're able to take those resources that you have, no matter how small they are, the magician uses what's available to him. Because remember, the magician is actually the fool moving into the next stage. And he carries very, very lightly, a few items for his entire life. He takes that leap forward. And then once he's in the magician mode, which is the next card over, what he decides to do is open up his rucksack. He takes out his wand, he takes out his sword, his pentacle, and his cup, and he begins to manifest the things that he wants to do in his life. What can we expect to have overall for the month of April? What is the ultimate thing we can expect for the month of April? There you go. There's your happiness. It's come out. So in the beginning, we have the Ten of Cups as the difficulty, the challenge of this, and the ultimate thing that we can expect if we take this slow and steady progress towards our goal. Then we have the Queen of Cups and the Two of Cups. Those are the Three of Cups. That's a celebration. Now, when we look at cups, we see that this is actually emotionally energy that we've invested in something specific. It's the flow of energy, like electricity, moving through a current and actually allowing people to power themselves throughout their lives, similarly to the fire, the Ace of Wands. But I think that this is more on a soul level. And what we're looking at here is that we start with the Ten of Cups being the challenge, but we're actually moving now into the very thing that does make us happy. And that could be a union between head and heart, mind, body, spirit and flesh. We could also say that it could be a relationship, quite positively. By the end of the month, you might see you've run into someone who has a similar issue going on with themselves. And then perhaps you're able to create that union or that bond between yourself and the other person, and realize that you're not having to do this alone. Even if this comes in the form of assistance or help, or people who can empathize with your situation and offer advice, this will actually bring you into that period of happiness. And you realize that you don't necessarily need what you think it is that you're looking for in order to receive this happiness. But perhaps you can actually receive everything that you need that makes you happy through unconventional means. I mean, when we have sword energy, those are all your Gemini, Libra, Aquarius type, cards. And that does indicate unconventional mechanisms to achieving a particular goal. So I think that by the end of the month, you will start to see this cloud lifting off of you, this heaviness, this burden that you feel that you're carrying with yourself. And I don't see any Ten of Wands, or I don't see any Five of Cups in the reading, but I do get that energy. However, I think in the end of this, you will come out on top, and I think things will begin to look up for you. So what we can do now, we can take a card of advice. I'll just take one for now so that we can get this going. What kind of advice have you got for the reader? So the one piece of advice that we have right now is more pentacles. We'll look at the Two of Pentacles. Learn to adapt to the choice. Learn to adapt to the situations that you are facing. We see all of the water behind the querent here, who is actually juggling all the pragmatic issues within their life. And this rising and falling of tides represents that our need to adapt to the changing currents of life, and to do so with a bit of grace and dignity. And that will in turn allow us to move forward into this period of happiness that we do see coming ahead of us. So in order for the water to flow, we must have a river or a trough or a canal in order for that water to flow into. That's what the cup represents, being able to carry that emotional energy. And I think right now you're actually paving the way for that to take place. And I think you are now ploughing and building that trough so that way the water can flow once again in your life. Thanks again for this reading. I do appreciate your time and energy again for this. If you would like a personal reading, please reach out to me at the description box information below. And I will keep up to date with the channel. Thank you so much once again. And I hope that this was helpful and informative to you. Cheers and love and light.